All right, today we're going to take a look at congruent triangles. So first, let's talk about the word congruent. Think back to other units. Does anybody remember what congruent means? Hopefully you said one of the following. Congruent is a synonym of same, similar, equal. So hopefully that kind of brings you back with what that word means. But we're looking at same triangles, similar triangles, equal triangles, things that are, again, alike between the two of them. All right, so parts of equal triangles are called corresponding parts. So today we're going to look at symbols and geometric notations that represent these parts instead of writing them out by hand like we've practiced in other sections. So if we take a look here, it's going to tell us that we have angle A and angle F, they're congruent. And again, remember that means similar, equals. So we're going to use arcs to represent angles. So those would be symbols that look like an arc. They've got a rounded curve. So we're going to say angle A is congruent to angle F. And we can put that little arc symbol. And just one. Then if I move to the next angle, B and D are the same, right? So we can use that notation of the arc to make those show congruent. Now I'm also using different colors so it's easier to see. But notice that when I labeled A and F, they are congruent or alike between each other. So they are the only ones that are red arcs. When we get to the next set, B and D, we want to use two arcs so that we know specifically that those blue angles are what are equal to each other. Then if we look at the third one, it says C and E are congruent, so C and E. And again, we're going to be using those arcs, but we already used one, we used two, so the next one is 3. That's how we label our angles. All right, congruent sides, we're going to use slashes. So those are those straight line. So AB is congruent to FD. So here's AB, congruent to FD. And you are just going to put a slash through the sides. Now, again, you can start with one slash to show that those two sides are equal. When I move into the next one, BC to DE, BC, DE, so we're referring to those bottom sides. And again, two slashes. It's right in the middle of my line and it's directly on the line. Okay, then last but not least, AC and FE. So we're talking about these sides are also equal. But again, I can't use one slash, I can't use two slashes because I don't want to mix it up with the other two sides that I've already established that are congruent. So these last two sides, I'm going to use 3 hash marks. And again, you could have started with one, went from the bottom and worked your way up. How I labeled it does not have to be specifically like that. What you're looking for is that you've got the same symbol between corresponding parts. So if A matches up with F, it doesn't matter if they're 2 arcs, 3 arcs, as long as they're the same. The other thing to point out to you is that we can conclude that these triangles are similar. They're equal to each other. And the way that your triangle and your congruency statement here is written gives you key information about it. It actually just told us all of these congruent angle and congruent sides in this little saying. So if I take a look at it real quick, right? A matched up with F, so take a look at this. A is the first in line and so is F. Then we said B and D, right? Take a look. B is the second one in line. D is the second one in line. So again, the way that it's written is extremely important. So whether you're reading it like I am right now, or you're writing down the congruency triangle statement, order does matter. So again, C and E match up. So the order does matter. Triangle ABC is directly corresponding with FDE. No other kind of order of those letters. So again, the letters of the names are extremely important. All right, so some practice examples. So on the bottom of your note sheet here, the first one says, hey, go ahead and draw 2 congruent triangles and label the parts using arcs and slashes. So this is kind of the nice part, is when you are drawing triangles, you can make them however you would like. Let's see if I can get my picture here to come up. Okay, so there's one triangle that I'm going to draw. I'm going to just copy and paste myself. So I've got 2 exact triangles, right? Now it is my job to label them. So when I'm going to label them, again, there is some freedom of choice. I'm going to go ahead and label PQR. I'm a righty and I go, you know, left to right by nature. So I'm going to start down here and say this is P, Q, and R. So you could have labeled it some other way. The only thing is I ask is if you went this way, you go this way on the second triangle. If you started up top and went down and around this way, you just follow that same mentality for the second one. So if this is PQR, PQR, then I need M, L, N in that same order. So I'm going to start bottom right, or sorry, bottom left, top of my mountain, down to the bottom on the right. So that's the first step we're going to label. Then again, looking at arcs for our angles, just like we did before, P should match up with M, Q with L, R with N. You can tell by our statement. You can look at the pictures. Those are in the same spot. And again, I can tell that I made the triangles, so they're exactly the same. There's no rotating, reflecting, none of that going on. They're straight up right next to each other. So it is a little bit easier when you have that. We know Q matches up with L, R matches up with N. That's my arcs for my angles. Now, if I'm looking at sides, PQ matches up with ML. And again, you can kind of tell a little bit by the order of your statement there, PQ, ML. Oh. So I'm going to put my 2 slashes on the right-hand side of my mountain, 3 on the bottom, 3 on the bottom. So that's just an example of how you could label those triangles. However, even if I took this whole, oh, I don't know if it's going to let me try this, guys, but even if I somehow manage to take this whole thing and I flip it sideways, flip it upside down, however, like this, it should still match up. So it doesn't matter how you have your picture laying out, what way your triangles are shifted. You can even have problems like the bottom, is that we've got here kind of like a rotation and a translation all in one. So we're going to follow the triangle. And actually, we're going to skip, sorry, for time's sake, we're going to skip to this one on the left. We're going to go to the one on the right here. But again, this triangle right here is kind of twisted and shifted up a little bit. So there is some rotation going on there. So again, you can label your first triangle however you want, just be consistent. I kind of tilt my head to the right a little bit and start with Q on the bottom, R on top, S on the right. Again, I'm like kind of turning my head to the right, making this the bottom, so that I can do the same thing for TUV. So TUV looks a little more normal to me. This is how it would be sitting on the ground. So I'm going to go TUV. From there, Q matches up with T. Actually, I'm going to make these the same color so it doesn't get too crazy. So sorry, this is TUV. Okay, so now again, Q matches up with T. Q matches up with T. R matches up with U. R matches up with U. And S matches up with V. So those would be my arcs for my corresponding angles. Then looking at the sides, again, you can go back to your statement here to make sense of kind of where you're putting similar hash marks. So between Q and R and T and U, Q, R, T, U. You can also look at your pictures and say, okay, between the angles of the 2 and the 3, so here's my 2 and here's my 3, so this one is going to match up with this one. You could look at by different, just the way it looks, like I had mentioned to you earlier, I look at this part on the bottom is like that's what would be resting on the ground, and I turned my head to label that first one since it's tilted, so that would be the bottom. So that's how we use the information from our congruency statements to help create and help label our pictures. All right, so building a congruency statement. So you're just going to basically be looking at the original. And again, remember I had mentioned to you that IGH comes in a certain order and it needs to be in that same order and when we write the second one. So IGH, if I look at my I, here it is. it's a 1 arc. So corresponding would be K. Again, I need to make sure that I am putting my triangle symbol so I matches up with K. G. Take a look at G. So that was I. So if I look at G, G's got nothing. That means J's got nothing. So my second letter here would be J. And then last but not least, when we go to figure out H, here is H. It is my 2 arc on the right-hand side, and my other triangle, that also is this H location. So your corresponding triangle statement would be triangle JKH. And again, you're matching up corresponding parts. And you're matching up the vertices of the angles. So one more here, ABC. A is our 3 hash. So here's our 3 hash marks over there. All right, taking a look at B. B is a single arc. So D is a single arc. So my next letter in line is D. And last but not least, here I got a C. So my C is my double arc. Double arc over on my right-hand triangle is the letter F. All right, let's take a look at one more. And instead of giving you, because I think on your assignment it tells you, hey, make a triangle congruency statement. Okay, what you're looking to say is, hey, this triangle is congruent to this triangle, and here's why. You can make it look however you want for that first one. So I could say, all right, I'm going to go in the order of ABC or ABE. So let's do ABE. Again, you could go whatever order you want. Then when you go to match it up, A is going to match up with, it's a right triangle on the right-hand triangle over here. There's my right angle. So it's going to be a C. When we move to B, if you take a look, B is in the middle here. It's a single arc. So there's my single arc over here, which is the letter B, the vertice B. And then moving on down to E, it's a 2 arc. So in our picture over here, it's a 2 arc. So triangle AB matches up with triangle CBD. And again, you could choose a different way. You could have easily said, all right, I want to go this way and say angle, triangle EBA. And yours would look like then DBC. And again, would be completely acceptable, completely right. It's just written differently. There's a couple different options when you come to congruency and triangle statements. So complete your assignment. Tomorrow's a FID day, so you have tomorrow to complete your class assignment. It's all about congruency and corresponding angles. Reach out if you need any help.